Sandy Island. Sandy Island was a landmass in the Coral Sea between Australia and New Caledonia that appeared on nautical charts for over a century, including Google Maps, where it showed up as a dark sliver about the size of Manhattan. It matters because it was removed from maps for the strangest reason a place can be removed. It was never there. In 1876, a whaling ship called the Velocity reported the island, and cartographers copied it from chart to chart for 136 years without anyone checking. Then, in November 2012, an Australian research vessel sailed to its coordinates and found open ocean, water more than a kilometer deep, with no seafloor evidence an island had ever existed. The scientists watched their own ship cross directly through a landmass their charts insisted was solid ground. Sandy Island was quietly deleted from the world's maps within weeks, which raises the uncomfortable question every item on this list keeps answering differently. If a place can sit on official maps for a century without existing, what else on the map is just something everyone kept copying? Artemis 16. Artemis 16 was the codename for Sarov, a Russian city of tens of thousands of people that was removed from every Soviet map in 1947. It matters because this wasn't a military base being hidden. It was an entire functioning city, with schools, hospitals, apartment blocks, and families that officially did not exist. Sarov was where the Soviet Union designed its first nuclear bomb, so the state simply erased it. The city vanished from maps, its residents vanished from public records, and mail was routed through a fake address in another town entirely. People lived whole lives, birthdays, weddings, funerals, inside a place the map said was empty forest. The city was surrounded by fences and guards, and residents needed permits to leave. Here's the part that outlasts the Cold War. Sarov is still a closed city today. Roughly 95,000 people live there now. It still runs Russia's main nuclear weapons lab, and you still cannot visit. The map shows it again. The fences never came down. City 40. City 40, officially Ozyorsk, was a Soviet city built around the Mayak plutonium plant, and it took erasure one step further than Sarov. It matters because the state didn't just remove the city from maps, it removed the residents from the country's paperwork. People who moved to City 40 were deleted from census records and forbidden from telling relatives where they'd gone. To the outside world, tens of thousands of Soviet citizens had simply evaporated. In exchange, residents got privileges most of the USSR could only dream about. Full shelves, good apartments, better pay. They called it the Golden Cage. Then, in 1957, a waste tank at Mayak exploded in what became one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. And because the city didn't exist, neither did the accident. It went publicly unacknowledged for decades while contamination spread across the region. A disaster with no location attached is remarkably easy to deny. That was the entire point of the blank spot. Mezhgorya. Mezhgorya is a closed town in Russia's Ural Mountains that sits at the base of Mount Yamantau, and unlike the Soviet cities, this one is still an active mystery. It matters because satellite imagery through the 1990s showed enormous ongoing excavation into the mountain. Rail lines, tunnel entrances, and construction on a scale suggesting a facility the size of a small city, built inside solid rock. When the United States formally asked what it was, Russia gave multiple different answers over the years. A mining site, a food storage facility, a repository, a bunker. The answers changed. The construction didn't stop. Whatever is inside Mount Yamantau, an entire town exists to service it. That town is closed to outsiders, and no consistent explanation has ever been offered. It is one of the only places on Earth where the interesting part isn't that it was hidden from the map, it's that it's on the map, visible from space, and still officially unexplained. Area 51. Area 51 is the U.S. Air Force facility at Groom Lake, Nevada, that spent nearly 6 decades absent from official maps and government acknowledgement. It matters because it became the world's most famous demonstration that a government can hide a place everyone can see. The base appeared in no official documents, its airspace was restricted, and employees flew in on unmarked planes from Las Vegas under a program with its own airline code. For decades, the official position was that there was nothing to have a position about. Then in 2013, the CIA declassified documents that finally acknowledged the base existed, revealing it as a test site for spy planes like the U-2 and the A-12, aircraft so unfamiliar in the 1950s sky that they generated a wave of UFO reports the government quietly preferred to leave uncorrected. Which is the twist? The myth wasn't fought, it was useful. The best cover story for a secret place turned out to be letting people believe something even stranger. Volkel Air Base. Volkel is a Dutch airbase that, for years, appeared on satellite map services as a smear of pixelation in the middle of otherwise crisp Dutch farmland. It matters because the blur itself became the confession. The Netherlands officially would neither confirm nor deny what was at Volkel, while censoring it more aggressively than almost any other site in the country, which is roughly like putting a padlock the size of a car on an ordinary garden shed. Then in 2013, a former Dutch prime minister stated in an interview what researchers had long concluded. The base stores American B-61 nuclear bombs, estimated at around 20 of them. The official policy of silence remained even after that. Volkel is the perfect specimen of the modern version of map removal. Nothing is deleted anymore because deletion is impossible in the satellite era. Instead, the map keeps the location and removes the detail, and in doing so draws a bright arrow that says, "Here." North Korea. North Korea, for the first years of modern digital mapping, appeared on Google Maps as an almost featureless void, a country-shaped blank with a capital city dot and little else, sitting next to a South Korea rendered in full street-level detail. It matters because it flipped the usual arrangement. This wasn't a government hiding one facility, it was an entire nation missing from the world's map because no data was allowed out. The blank wasn't censorship by the mapmaker, it was the shape of the country's own information seal, visible from the outside. In 2013, Google filled in the map using crowdsourced work from defectors, researchers, and satellite analysts, and the additions were telling. Alongside roads and hospitals came labeled outlines of prison camps, mapped by people who had been inside them. The regime never provided a map of its own country. Its escapees drew it instead. The Soviet Map Program. The Soviet Map Program was the largest act of cartographic deception in history, a decades-long state policy of deliberately falsifying nearly every publicly available map of the USSR. It matters because everything else on this list was a blank spot, and this was the opposite, a fully drawn map that was systematically wrong on purpose. Starting under Stalin, public Soviet maps had rivers shifted, roads bent, towns nudged kilometers from their true locations, and coastlines subtly redrawn, so that any map an ordinary citizen or foreign spy could buy was useless for navigation or targeting. Meanwhile, the military maintained a parallel set of accurate maps, classified at the highest levels, including astonishingly detailed maps of foreign cities, down to the width of streets and the load capacity of bridges. In 1988, the USSR's own chief cartographer publicly admitted the falsification had gone on for 50 years. An entire country drawn twice, once truthfully for the state, once falsely for everyone living in it. Agloe, New York. Agloe is a town in upstate New York that was removed from maps for the opposite reason as everything above. It was never supposed to be real. It matters because Agloe began as a copyright trap, a fake town invented by a map company in the 1930s and planted on their maps, so that if a rival's map showed Agloe too, it proved they'd copied. Then reality played along. A general store opened at the crossroads where the fake town sat and named itself the Agloe General Store, because that's what the map said the place was called. When a rival map later included Agloe and the original company sued, the defense held, Agloe existed now. The store eventually closed, the fiction faded, and in 2014, Google Maps quietly deleted Agloe again. It is the only place on this list that was born on a map, became real because people believed the map, and then died when the map changed its mind, which should permanently unsettle your sense of which direction the arrow points between maps and the world. Null Island. Null Island is the most visited place on Earth that does not exist, the point where the equator crosses the prime meridian at coordinates 00 in the Gulf of Guinea. It matters because it's the capstone of everything this list has been circling, a place created entirely by the map itself. When GPS devices, apps, and databases fail, a corrupted photo tag, a form with no address, a glitched delivery ping, their coordinates often default to 00. The result is that millions of data points from all over the planet report themselves at this one spot of open ocean, making it, statistically, one of the most geotagged locations in the world. Map makers even gave it a name as an inside joke, and there is exactly one physical object there, a lone weather buoy bobbing at the coordinates, unknowingly serving as mayor of the world's error messages. Every other place on this list was removed from the map by someone with a reason. Knoll Island is the map's own confession, proof that the map was never a photograph of the world. It's a claim about it, and claims can be wrong, hidden, falsified, invented, or empty. You've just seen every version.